What is this thing doing right now? This is all in the span of half a second? Back in March, I bought this, a $360 box from Walmart that promised to replace every streaming service. And, well, it worked. Now that video got over 2 million views, but since then, not only has the box been scrubbed from Walmart's listings, but if you do a quick search, you'll see headlines discussing how a federal judge has ruled stuff like this illegal. So that's it, right? The box is dead and we're all resubscribed to streaming services. Yeah, not quite that simple. I think it's time to plug it back in. My main question, and I think one of my main concerns about Superbox, is these things are very expensive. Holy f, $450 for a Superbox? And my concern is that there's no guarantee that this continues to work. We specifically took this thing offline as soon as we were done with the video. We kept it in a hermetically sealed chamber. Let's plug it back in and see, does our Superbox still work after 6 months? All right, it is coming online, and we already have an ad for UFC 330, which as recorded this video was 2 days ago. Great, love it. That sure is some copyrighted content, isn't it? If you're someone who spent a large amount of money on a Superbox, at least it's not shut down yet.
But the Superbox is just the tip of the iceberg because there are so many of these things all over the internet, including on sites such as AliExpress, which sells this, the VC box. And if you thought the Superbox was bad, just wait until you see what we discovered when we took a closer look at this one.
This is a similar concept as far as I understand, in that it is a box that is ostensibly for you to watch content with that apparently makes it very, very easy to watch the Wisney channel and CBA and Undiscovery and the Future channel and the Ravel channel. Now I want to be clear that we do not condone or recommend these products in any way whatsoever, and that we're just purely doing this to understand how these things work and how things have changed since our original video, because I had to buy this one on AliExpress. And as far as I know, no reputable store would sell you a Superbox at this point.
Hey, what about Kohl's? Oh wait, no, you said reputable. Never mind.
VC we enjoy together. Now I do think the VC box was a little bit cheaper, but not by much. How much do we pay for our V6 Pro?
We paid $272.
Yeah, it's still so much more than even like the most high-end Apple TV out there. Ooh, Android 14 available now. V6 Pro, 8K ultra high definition. I mean, it's fairly generic and simple. Oh, this remote actually looks a lot more legit. The Superbox remote has nothing on it. It is just a completely generic remote. But if you look at the VC box, this has the same kind of buttons that a real remote would have. Look at the font on the YouTube logo. That is not real. Instructions, ooh, this is the important bit. So one thing that's actually very different compared to the Superbox, when we bought that, it actually came in 2 different packages. So there's the Superbox itself, and there's a second box with a bunch of accessories, and on the bottom was the actual instructions on how to become Pirate of the 7 Seas. So there's absolutely nothing whatsoever here about how to find content. So at the very least, they're trying to make this one a little bit less obvious that it is meant for nefarious purposes.
Oh. Hey, look at that.
Also like how this one also has the little derpy extra display for the time. Oh, here we go. This is what we're looking for. We are not in any way responsible for the content streamed or viewed by any user. VC Box in no way takes any responsibility for how you use this device. That is almost exactly what the Superbox said. It's a little bit of a different interface. The recommended apps are Heat Live, Heat VOD, VOD Ultra, and Backup by Heat. I literally clicked on one of the things that are right here. Feel the heat, stay cool. Heat VOD. Oh boy, that is a lot of movies. Oh, Spider-Man.
Whoa.
Hey, that's a new movie, right? Well, let's see what happens when I try to click on Spider-Man and see. Again, we're doing this for educational purposes only. But yeah, that's just Spider-Man.
That does look like the thing.
Yeah, except it's blurrier for some reason.
So clearly, it is incredibly easy to pirate content with these boxes. But that's not the whole story, because if you take a look through Walmart for Superbox, they have since removed them. All you'll find really are Superbox remotes, and wait, what the hell's a cola box? It's a $262 streaming TV box. Boy, this seems awfully familiar. 10 seconds of Googling finds almost the exact same playbook as Superbox, an expensive streamer that sprang out of absolutely nowhere with a bunch of suspiciously positive content around it that seems to show it's doing the same thing as Superbox. Speaking of, even though Superbox has been removed by most retailers at this point, take a look at the Superbox site. And not only are they still advertising them, but they've freaking expanded to a projector. Like, these pirate box companies are in such fierce competition, they're trying to make the best hardware. Can we all just take a pause? Look, I know that this is like a serious video. How ridiculous is every part of this? But man, I just remember when, like, you just hoped that you would land on a torrent that wasn't actually gonna be George W. Bush.
What?
Not. Ooh, my pirate box has 8K now. Ooh. Look, if I really want to prove the point, I could buy every single one of these things, but to me, it seems incredibly clear that most of them are running the exact same formula. Plus, if retailers start to remove one, as we've seen, others immediately pop up in its place. So to me, the question is, let's just say, for sake of argument, that you're perfectly happy to risk putting one of these boxes on your network. Both the Superbox and VC Box were very happy to point out that they're just innocent hardware. If you choose to click on the button on the homepage and watch pirated content, well, that's not on them. That's on you, you filthy pirate. Look, I want to be clear. This is not legal advice, but the gut check is, of course these things are illegal, right? Well, there's a little bit of precedent here. So there was a case back in 2024 that found a seller liable for, quote, trafficking in streaming services that are accessed using the VC Box and Tangula set-top boxes, with a judgment that landed a cool $1.25 million or $2,500 per box sold. But importantly, this was targeted at someone selling the boxes, not if you were actually buying one. Now, if you want to be really charitable, you could make the argument, not that I would, that typically the thing that's illegal about piracy isn't watching pirated content, it's the distribution. And you as an end user aren't necessarily going to check the terms and conditions of every app that you download and every app that you look at. And the same way that I'm probably not going to ask Mr. Disney if he's properly licensed every single thing on Disney Plus, you can make an argument that, well, you bought the box and it's got a button right there and you clicked it. How are you supposed to know? That being said, I think any kind of common sense will very quickly land you on a point in which clearly Spoderman is not an actually licensed thing for the VC Box. I mean, there's a gray area here, but it's only a gray area if I take off my glasses, step 30 feet back, and forget the color gray.
Now, before we get into exactly what happens when you plug a VC box or a Superbox into your network, there is a whole other world of actual issues that these have caused.
Superbox is a great example. This seems to be an actually legal way to watch free TV by utilizing over-the-air signals like the good old days with an antenna.
What? How old are you?
Did you not have an antenna? You kids just don't know how good you got it. You really don't. However, recently Superbox got swept up by Amazon, who removed them for advertising quote-unquote free TV like other options such as Superbox. Even though the Superbox is a totally different thing, and its main purpose is to allow you to retrieve broadcast signals that are actually encrypted with DRM. This really speaks to the core problem here. It truly is the Wild West when it comes to streaming boxes. Let's not forget one of the big points from our original video. Many of these Android TV devices are incredibly suspect for security and privacy. Many were shut down as part of a botnet, which Google and the FBI helped to take down in 2025. And there's also a real question about, even if they're not actively part of a botnet, what are these things actually doing on your network? Well, that leads me to walking 5 feet over there and showing you what I've put together. So I have both the Superbox as well as the VC Box fully unplugged, so we're gonna capture what they're doing as they start to boot up. Essentially, this laptop is functioning as the gateway, and it is tethered over USB to this phone, so we keep it clean and off of any network that, has things that we maybe don't want bad things to happen to. Don't put these on your Wi-Fi is what I'm trying to say. What I'm using is Wireshark. This is my first time using Wireshark, but it's actually a really cool utility that allows me to see in real time exactly what these things are doing, and then once I'm done with the log, I actually analyze it. So let's find out together, my friends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a 15-minute capture. So we're monitoring. Now I'm going to plug in the VC Box. Oh, I see things. Yes. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Holy, it's reaching 6, 7, 800. What is this thing doing right now? Whoa. Oh my God. It's over 25, 26. It's reaching that 10-cent telemetry? That's like some analytics or some data stuff. Some of these are innocuous, some of these are just Google, but a lot of these are definitely not. This is all in the span of half a second. It's at 7,000 calls in just a few minutes. Ugh. Man, if you buy one of these boxes, there's a lot of nasty things that a compromised or suspicious device could do on your network. I'll tell you, that is not that's not good. So after diving deeper into both of these boxes, putting them on your network is a terrible idea. Now, I want to be honest, I am not a security researcher. I know how to hit a few buttons in Wireshark, not analyze 85,000 lines of logs. So I did run the captures through Claude to see what these boxes are actually doing, and then I checked the core traces myself, and holy shit. Let's start with the VCBox log that we just did. 12 seconds after I plugged it in, it opened a line to a server and started listening for instructions, which it did every 60 seconds for as long as I measured, just waiting to be told what to do. Whoever's on the other end can push at a job, including turning itself off, or worse, and you would have no idea. Then, about 3.5 minutes after booting, completely on its own, it downloaded an app in the background. That was what that big surge of traffic that we saw with Wireshark was. A plain, unencrypted connection that pulled a 5 megabyte APK, which when I ran it through VirusTotal, immediately lit up as malicious. Lovely. Oh, and the whole thing is signed with the default Android sample key, which means that anyone with that key, which again is publicly available, can send an app to this box and it will take total control. That's not bad security, that's non-existent security. It's not like, oh, we're gonna leave a back door. It's like, hey, what if we don't build a back wall? Thankfully, the Superbox was not as bad. Definitely isn't particularly secure, and it checked with a number of update servers with fake names, but like nothing on the same scale as the VCBox, at least from what I initially looked at. But this is just what happens when you turn the boxes on and do absolutely nothing. How about what happens when you watch some Spoderman? So on the Superbox, I watched a few minutes of live TV and a part of a movie, and looking at the traffic, 82% of the content didn't come from some illicit pirate server, came directly from other people's houses. In a 5-minute session, the Superbox pulled 41 megabytes from 1,700 connections. Not 17 connections, not 100 connections, 1,700 connections, largely from normal home internet accounts. Half of this was from a single person in Trenton, Tennessee. Now, it's very likely someone who bought a Superbox and doesn't realize that that box is actively hosting and transmitting the Wisney channel to anyone and everyone. There's more to this too. So the Superbox reached out to BitTorrent servers and started pinging other machines in Germany, Denmark, China, Hong Kong, Romania, and then it started focusing on my network. It reached out looking for other torrents on the network, and it tried to open a hole in my router to allow more outside internet traffic. It failed because I specifically tested this on a closed network. But if you connected this to your normal home router, it almost certainly would have punched a hole directly through. Even with my lockdown setup, within 3 minutes, the Superbox started getting pings from other systems that were trying to connect. Now, this is a big deal. Your IP address is your public internet address. It's the number that companies use when they try to find you and send you a copyright notice. So, this $360 box uses your connection, bandwidth, and name to host pirated content. Awesome, he said sarcastically. Now, a lot of people will hide behind the convenient gray area that, sure, maybe selling these boxes is illegal, but using them isn't, right? And that 2024 case was about a guy who was selling boxes. But if I can track this much in a single afternoon of testing, with the VCBox pulling down a malicious file without ever touching a button the second it was plugged in, thousands of pings on the Superbox the second you start to watch something, and in the case of the VCBox, it's a device that is literally ready at any moment to do any kind of nefarious activities without you knowing a thing. Yikes. Back in March, I told you that these devices could get shut down at any time, and even though these things work for now, they're all one lawsuit away from disappearing. Meanwhile, the boxes just moved to AliExpress, Superbox launched a projector, and the only thing that actually got harder to buy was the legal antenna. Now, if you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe to the channel and ring-a-ling that ding-a-ling button. And seriously, do not buy one of these things. They're honestly actually just that bad.